Events are the learning object that represents instructor-led training or virtual instructor-led training classes in your organization's portal. Before creating your event, it's helpful to spend some time planning. Consider what the training should cover and how you'd like to describe it to potential students. Decide whether you'll offer a waitlist option or not. Events can't be created without a subject, so make sure the subject you need has been created. You should also think about how the registration process will work and whether there are any prerequisites, pre-work, or post-work for students. Think about if the training will be conducted virtually or in a physical classroom. Additionally, decide who will be teaching and make sure your instructors and vendors are already set up, since vendors are also required to create events. Click the ILT tab to choose Manage Events and Sessions. Click the Create New Event link beneath the search area. There are 5 sections in the event creation workflow: Properties, Availability, Pricing, Training Units, if training units are enabled, and Session Defaults. The Properties section lets you define the overall parameters for your event. The only fields that are absolutely required before you can click Next are Event Name, Primary Vendor, Subjects, and Training Contact. But you'll want to look through the other optional fields and fill out the form as completely as you can. A couple of things to highlight on the Properties page. Learners rely on the details you provide in the description field to assess whether the event aligns with their learning needs. The more information you include, the better. The subject field can be used by learners to search for training, so it's important to make a logical choice that will improve your learner's experience. Share additional information such as a building map or session handouts using the resource feature. Control the audience of the files that are loaded to administrators, users, or everyone. Consistently communicate the same detailed information, like the dress code requirements, to your end users in every event using custom fields. Once you've added all the necessary information to the Properties page, click the Next button. Use the Availability section to make the event available by setting criteria around users, groups, and OUs the same way you would with any learning object. You can also determine if approval is required or not. If the pre-approved box is checked, the user will not need approval and the user can be immediately registered. One important thing to note is that if you check the Copy Availability to New Sessions checkbox, all the newly created sessions associated to this event will automatically inherit the availability settings you configure here. When you're ready, click Next to move on to the pricing section. If you're not planning to charge for your instructor-led training, you can skip this section altogether. If you are planning on charging, this page gives you options to set the current active price, plan for price changes with future pricing, or even archive pricing with the historical pricing option. When active pricing is selected, you can also set up different pricing structures for different groups of learners using OU and group criteria, the way you did while setting availability. Training units are virtual currency that users can use to purchase training. If training units are enabled, the Training Unit section lets you configure how those training units will be valued, or whether you want to use them at all for this event. The Session Defaults page lets you determine how things like registration, enrollment, waitlists, pre-work, and post-work should be configured for sessions that are associated with this event. Any changes that you make to the session defaults will only apply to newly created sessions. That means if you're editing this section on an existing event, existing sessions won't be changed. The only required fields on the session default section are the minimum and maximum registration numbers in the registration section. As you are creating an event, refer to online help for information around the additional fields on each of the steps.